Time of the so-called colonial dark continent is long gone. Africa has over the years become a canvas for the creative soul, with creativity bursting from every corner. Not only does Africa boast a wide variety of designers, artists and creators, it also has over the years become the source pool of inspiration for a variety of international names. Now, joining us to further this discussion is social entrepreneur and brand builder Terry Behan, who wrote the book Connect with the Continent. And Terry is a frequent contributor here on the show. Good morning, Terry. Nice to have you back with us.
Good to see you.
The time of the so-called dark continent, that's a bit backward, isn't it? It's over, yeah? We're in a new phase on the continent, aren't we?
We are. I mean, you know that, and I know that, and 700 million Africans know that. I think the rest of the world sometimes struggles to keep up.
Creatively speaking, where are we when we talk about African design? We see little spits of African influence throughout the rest of popular culture. Where are we?
10 years ago, African design was all about dodgy statues, and you'd find them on the East Coast, you'd find them on the West Coast, probably all manufactured in Taiwan. It's completely different. There has been this massive upsurgence of talent coming from literally, as you said, all four corners of the continent: Mali, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, South Africa. And they are representing the sort of new wave of African design that is really taking the world by storm.
Now, Terry, you travel all over the continent. You see the very best and sometimes the very worst of the African continent. What makes African design different?
I think two things. I think firstly, people are quite proud of their heritage. So they're interpreting their cultural heritage in some quite interesting ways. And the second thing is African designers are not modernizing, or not westernizing, they're modernizing. So you bring this sort of rich cultural heritage together with a real genuine African sense of modernism. And the results have been quite special.
Now, it's one thing to put the things on the market, but are Africans interested in buying African design? Are we seeing the money being spent on buying local and buying African design?
I think, yeah, I think we're finding that it happens in different areas. So you have like the mass market brands like Lokshan Culture in South Africa are a great success. You have a lot of mid-market brands, guys like Holmes Brothers, who are also being quite successful. Then you start to break into the continental and international sphere. So continentally, there's a new place opened up recently in Lagos called Alara, which was a beautiful store designed by David Adjaye, who's probably the world's best-known architect of African descent. And is just populated with top-end African goods that are flying off the shelves. Yeah. And then internationally, they cannot get enough of this stuff. African designers are exhibiting at Art Basel, Art Dubai, Art Miami, all over the world at the top shows. What's quite interesting is when you look at the quality of these items, they are absolutely unique.
Business, international business and brands, are they now sitting up and taking notice and spending their dollars in Africa, hopefully? Yeah,
they are. I mean, I think the international brands have kind of cottoned on to the fact that this sort of style of design, or African design, is a deep sort of sense of cultural heritage. It's rooted quite deeply in the African psyche. And they're starting to look at that design process and trying to figure out how to kind of engage with it, how to find the right partners, and how to sort of bring that to life. I think African brands are doing so as well. SAA spent quite a bit of time kind of trying to rebrand its image so it looked a little less South African and a lot more African, and it's been applauded for that. And you have banks like GT in West Africa who bring this sense of cultural confidence to the fore, and it is connecting with young people across the continent.
The future. What does the future look like? Is it a sort of more postmodern African design?
Yeah, when we call it sort of Afro-chic design, to give it a label, I think it's quite an interesting period at the moment. If you look at design in the States in the 1920s, you have the sort of Art Deco movement. It's very, very distinctive. What's also equally distinctive is the movements that came out of Europe in the sort of Bauhaus movement. But in Africa, it's not yet, you can't yet say that's a certain style of design. It's quite broad, it's quite engaging, but it's quite unique. Yeah. And I think the challenge is manufacturing. If you look at other markets, even sort of more modern markets like Taiwan, they built a really strong design base and they've built a strong manufacturing base to support it. Here, what you have is African designers are inherently makers. They have to make their own stuff because they don't have the manufacturing processes to support that. So once that comes on stream, I think we're going to be a powerhouse.
Well, We look forward to that, Terry. We have to build the African century. That's what we are building. Manufacturing is a key. I agree with you. Terry Behan is a frequent contributor on the Newsroom show and will be throughout the rest of the year. He'll give us updates from all corners of Africa. Wherever he travels, he's there, well, almost every week, it seems. Thanks, Terry. Thanks for being in. We talked about African design today. Who knows? We might be talking technology in Nigeria next week, or arts and crafts in Kenya. We expect to have Terry back within the next couple of weeks. Before we go,